seeing a country socially transform itself through a voting process, nonviolent voting process, was catalytic, I think, in the thinking of a lot of these people who became the Facebook revolution. They saw that you can have that violence was at a dead end in the Middle East. I think that was one of the things that was just preceded this, was there was a decision on the part of a lot of young people that violence wasn't getting them anywhere. And the dialogue began to take effect, even in Palestine.
I want that to be true. I fear that it's not. I think that another way of reading what's happening now is that a lot of the old stories are coming to an end. Mm-hmm. And the stories that we've been telling ourselves about peace process leading towards a two-state solution, stories we've been telling ourselves about moderate Arab authoritarians who will reform their societies and steadily move towards democracy. I think a lot of those stories are just collapsing now, and one response to that is the one that we're seeing, this story of peaceful transformation from below. Mm-hmm. I think there's other stories to be told, and I don't think that we've seen the end of violence.
I think it's important for us to disaggregate, so that we're talking about a region that is full of diversity. Mm-hmm. And in Egypt, you have a civil society. It can hold together and go through this transition, and it might succeed. In Libya, you don't have that. And where I feel like the Muslim Brothers and Al-Qaeda have very little to say about the future of Egypt. And maybe they'll participate. Muslim Brothers will participate in it, but they're not going to. Al-Qaeda is not going to be a factor. In Libya, you have the possibility of real chaos, and that would be a situation in which Al-Qaeda or some other Islamist group could prosper. Yemen is a similar situation. So if we start breaking each of these pieces off of this giant puzzle map, I think there are possibilities for good outcomes, and there are possibilities for disasters. And yet the same urges of all these young people are that, across the way, they want something that neither their governments nor the radical Islamists were offering them.
But then the question is, what happens when they don't get it?
Yeah,
because if you look at what happened in Eastern Europe and after the collapse of communism, the first election in most of these countries was the euphoric election of the heroes of the revolution. The second elections were often populist, nationalist, xenophobic, remnants of the old regime, as people came away frustrated that, in fact, change didn't necessarily improve their economic lives, maybe even worsened it. And so, again, this is a story that's going to be going on for
Eastern Europe
quite some
at least
time.
had Europe and the prospect of becoming a part of Europe, a part of the European Union as a target and a model. That's not true in the Arab world.